Rain hit the hospital window like soft fingers tapping, unnoticed by anyone inside. In a dim, near-empty maternity ward of a worn-down hospital in Detroit, a young woman named Clara Lane sat on the edge of a bed, pale and shaken, staring at the two newborn girls placed quietly in a crib beside her. They had just arrived in the world an hour ago, squirming and fussing, unaware of the cold silence surrounding them. Clara wasn't looking at them with love. No, there was fear, exhaustion, and something colder. Regret? Maybe. But mostly panic. She was only 21, a college dropout with no family left and nothing but a backpack full of clothes and a pocketbook with 11 crumpled dollars. The father? A man twice her age who disappeared the moment he found out she was pregnant. He'd promised her everything: love, a future, money. Lies. All lies. Clara got up quietly, careful not to wake the babies. Her heart raced in her chest. Like a warning, she looked at the name tags: Baby A, Lillian, and Baby B, Luna. Names she hadn't even fully decided on. The nurse must have picked them, or maybe she mumbled them while drifting off from labor meds. She didn't cry. Maybe that was the worst part. Clara simply scribbled a short note on the hospital tray. Table folded it and placed it beside the crib. Then she picked up her old jacket, slipped it on and walked out the door without looking back. She left the hospital, and with it, her children. Lillian and Luna Lane were placed in foster care within the week. No one came forward to claim them, not even when local news briefly ran a story about twins abandoned in City Hospital. But people forget stories like that quickly. Another crime, another scandal, another sob story. It all gets lost in the next news cycle. The girls grew up in a string of homes, some kind, some cruel, but they never let themselves break. Maybe it was because they always had each other. Lillian, the quieter one, always watching, always calculating. Luna, the louder one, always asking questions, challenging teachers, speaking her mind even when it got her in trouble. They were different but unstoppable together. By the time they were 14, they had already started their first online business. It was simple, buying trendy clothes wholesale and reselling them on social media, but they had something most kids didn't: hunger, not for food, but for more. More than what the system gave them, more than the hand life dealt them. By 17, they had built a brand. By 22, their fashion tech startup had exploded after a viral TikTok campaign. Celebrities wore their designs, investors lined up, and before they even knew it, they were on Forbes 30 Under 30, Lillian, and Luna Lane, Billionaires, Beautiful, Brilliant, Bold. Headlines loved them. From orphanage to empire, twins who turned pain into power. Everyone wanted to know their story, except they didn't know the whole thing. Not yet. Far across the country, in a dusty little town in Arizona, Clara Lane was sitting in a diner booth when she saw them on the TV above the counter. Her fork stopped mid-air. The waitress was wiping tables. No one noticed Clara's face go pale. There they were, her daughters, Lillian and Luna. Older now, but unmistakable. Same eyes, same sharp jawline. Her eyes, her daughters, billionaires. Her stomach twisted into knots she couldn't unravel. Clara had been living under a new name, Anna Fisher, for the last 23 years. She never told anyone about her past. Not the man she eventually married, not her stepson. She had buried those babies deep, like a secret she hoped time would rot away. But they hadn't disappeared. They had risen. And now they were coming for answers, because one of the twins had hired a private investigator. The sun had barely risen over Los Angeles when Luna Lane stepped into the sleek office overlooking Sunset Boulevard. The windows stretched floor to ceiling, but her focus wasn't on the cityscape. Her jaw was clenched, her eyes sharp as glass, and she held a thick manila folder in her hands. It was warm from how tightly she'd been gripping it. Lillian was already there, pacing in slow, tight circles. Her usual calm demeanor was cracking just a bit. Luna dropped the folder on the glass table between them. "She's alive," Luna said flatly. "And her name's not Clara anymore." Lillian sat down slowly, hands trembling just slightly. "How long have you known?" I hired the PI 3 months ago, Luna said. Ever since the gala when that woman approached me, remember her? Lillian frowned. The drunk one who said we had our mother's eyes? Luna nodded. Turns out she wasn't drunk, she was our aunt, Clara's sister, the one who was supposed to be dead. Silence fell like a bomb. The air got heavy. I thought we agreed. Not to look for her, Lillian whispered. She left us, Luna. Yeah. And now I want to know why. Lillian didn't argue. Deep down, she'd always wanted to know, too. She just hadn't had the guts to say it. Luna opened the folder again. Inside was a photo, grainy, taken from a distance, but clear enough to show the face of the woman who once walked out of a hospital and left 2 newborns behind. She looked older now, tired, with streaks of grey in her hair. She was working at a small-town bookstore under the name Anna Fisher. She has a new life, Luna said. Husband, stepson, no mention of us. And we're not in her will either, Lillian said bitterly. Figures. I want to meet her. Why? So she can lie to your face? Pretend she's sorry? No, Luna said, voice cold. So? She can see what she gave up. Clara Anna felt like her insides had been scooped out when she stepped through the doors of the bookstore the next morning. She barely slept. That image of her daughters, no, women now, wouldn't leave her mind. Their faces, their success, their power, all built from nothing. She told herself to breathe, to smile, to act normal. She had gotten away with it this long, she couldn't let it catch up to her now. But fate had other plans. The bell above the door chimed late that afternoon. She looked up from the counter, and there they were, standing across from her in designer heels and coats more expensive than her entire yearly salary. She didn't recognize them at first, but when she did, her breath caught like a punch to the ribs. Lillian stepped forward. Luna didn't smile. Hello, Anna. Lillian's voice was steady, but her eyes were full of ice. We believe you knew us as Lillian and Luna. Once. Clara's mouth opened, but no words came. Just a soft, choked sound. She tried. You left us, Luna said, arms folded. No excuses, just say it, you left us. Clara couldn't lie, not now. Yes, she whispered. I did. The silence between them was thunderous. Lillian looked around the store. So this is your new life, new name, new family. Did you even think about us? I did, Clara whispered. Luna took a step closer. Then why didn't you look for us when we made the news? Why didn't you even try? Clara's voice broke. Because I was afraid. I thought you'd hate me. We do, Luna said, but that's not the worst part. What is? That we don't need you, she said, but now you need us. Clara blinked. What do you mean? Lillian pulled out a letter. This is a court notice. Your husband is being sued for fraud. Millions. We bought the debt. Clara's knees buckled slightly. No, yes, Luna said. You're going to lose everything. And we're not here for revenge, Lillian said. Not yet. We're here to make you choose, Luna added. Tell the world the truth, to watch your fake life burn. Clara sat frozen behind the bookstore counter, the soft thrum of the air conditioner now sounding like the loudest thing in the room. Her hands trembled over the court letter. The names on it were real, her husband's, hers. The plaintiff, Lane Ventures, LLC. She didn't need anyone to explain. Her daughters hadn't just built a fashion tech empire. They had built a machine, one capable of tracking down a buried past and holding it hostage without firing a single bullet. Their revenge was legal, silent, surgical. Why? She croaked. Why do this? Luna stepped forward, her eyes glassy but unreadable. You really need to ask? I left you, Clara whispered. I know, I abandoned you, but I didn't know what else to do. I was young, alone, scared out of my mind. That hospital room felt like a coffin. Lillian's voice was cold and clear. We were the ones left in the coffin. You just climbed out and walked away. Clara lowered her head. I thought if I disappeared, it'd be easier. For everyone. For you, you mean? Luna snapped. You didn't even name us. Clara looked like she'd been slapped. Her throat tightened. I wasn't ready. You gave up the right to be ready, Lillian said. You gave up the right to be our mother. I know. Do you? Luna hissed. Because I want to hear you say it, Clara, not Anna, not some storybook name. Clara Lane, say you left your kids to rot in foster care. Say it. Clara looked up, tears in her eyes now. She'd tried so long to keep it all buried, to live a normal life, a quiet life. But now it was unraveling thread by thread in front of her daughters. Beautiful, powerful, merciless. I left you, she said, barely a whisper. I abandoned you at birth. I never came back. And you married a man who's now neck deep in fraud, Lillian added. Perfect ending to your happy little fairy tale. Clara opened her mouth, then stopped. We're not here to destroy you, Luna said. We're giving you a choice. Clara looked up cautiously. We want you to come with us. Publicly, Lillian said. To a press conference next month. Tell the world the truth, that you were our biological mother, that you left us, that we rose from it anyway. And if I refuse? Clara asked, voice shaking. Luna pulled out. A second document. This one a lawsuit. We will take everything. Your husband's bookstore, your house, your savings. We own the debt now. All it takes is one legal push. Clara felt the last of her defenses crumble. You want to shame me, she said, voice cracking. Is that what this is? Some public circus? No, Lillian said, surprisingly soft now. We want the world to know we didn't just make it. We survived it. Luna's eyes flicked with pain. And we want closure, even if it has to be messy. Clara stared at them, these two powerful women who should have been strangers but weren't. Her daughters, her shame, her consequence, and now her reckoning. When's the conference? She asked finally. Luna smirked. 1 month. You'll be flown in. We'll prepare everything. All you have to do is tell the truth. Clara swallowed hard. And then what? Then, Lillian said, you disappear for good, quietly. No interviews, no books, no fame. We don't want your tears, Luna said. We want our story back. The room stayed still. The girls turned to leave, heels clicking like judgment down the wooden floors. Before exiting, Lillian paused. Oh, she said without turning around. Your husband doesn't know any of this, does he? No, Clara replied, barely audible. Don't worry, Luna said with a faint smile. He'll find out soon enough. The days that followed felt like slow death to Clara. She avoided her husband's eyes over dinner, lied about the sudden stress as just work, and began locking herself in the upstairs bathroom late at night, staring blankly into the mirror. The face that stared back at her wasn't just aging, it looked haunted. Like a woman sitting in the eye of a storm, she spent years pretending would never come. She received the itinerary from Lane Ventures 2 days later, a sleek envelope delivered by a black car parked outside the bookstore. Inside was a flight ticket, hotel reservation, a non-disclosure agreement, and a short handwritten note. You owe the truth. L&L. The media hadn't caught on yet. The court filings were under subsidiary shell companies. It was all clean, quiet, suffocating. Clara's husband, Darren, started asking questions when he noticed her bank account frozen. What's going on? He asked one morning, holding his iPad with a concerned frown. They're flagging the store's credit line. Did you open a new account without telling me? Clara blinked slowly, buying herself time. It's old debt, she said. Something from my past is resurfacing. Darren narrowed his eyes. What past? I thought your family died in a fire or something. She couldn't meet his gaze. Clara. It's complicated, she whispered. I can't explain everything now, but I promise it'll be handled. He didn't press, but the air between them shifted. The way he looked at her, less like a partner, more like a man realizing he didn't really know who his wife was. Lillian scrolled through social media the next evening, watching the internet buzz over the twins' upcoming Legacy initiative. The PR team had hinted at a major announcement, something deeply personal, that would redefine their brand's origin story. The public ate it up. Meanwhile, Luna was quiet, staring out the hotel window in Manhattan, wine glass untouched. She's going to show up, Lillian said more to herself than to Luna. She's scared, but she knows what's at stake. Luna didn't respond for a long moment. Then softly, Do you think she ever loved us? Lillian set her phone down. She didn't even name us. The nurses did. You think a mother who loved her kids would walk away without even giving them names? She looked broken, Luna said. When we saw her, like she wasn't the villain I wanted her to be. That's how they survive, Lillian said. For they make themselves pitiful, so you start to feel bad for them, so you forget what they did to you. Luna closed her eyes, as if trying to push the memories back. The screaming in some of those foster homes, the feeling of hunger so deep, it turned into numbness. The night she nearly ran away at age 10, but Lillian locked the window and said, "If you go, I go too." They'd survived because of each other, not because of any adult, not because of Clara. She doesn't deserve to hide behind another name, Luna said finally. I want people to know who she is. They will, Lillian said. Soon. Clara landed in New York City 1 week later. The city felt loud and unfamiliar, like it didn't care who she was or what she was running from. A driver met her at the airport, eyes cold, no small talk. She was dropped at a 5-star hotel she had no business staying in. Everything felt unreal, too clean, too expensive, too sharp. Her room had a welcome box. Inside, a carefully tailored black dress, makeup kit, statement heels, and a card that read, "You abandoned us in rags. You'll face the world in silk." Your daughters. Clara sat on the edge of the hotel bed, holding the card with shaking fingers. This was no reunion. This was a trial. The next morning, she stood on the stage next to Lillian and Luna. Hundreds of cameras flashed. She could barely breathe. Lillian stepped to the podium, composed and flawless. "I'd like to introduce someone," she said, her voice firm. "Someone who gave birth to us, then walked away." Gasps rippled through the audience. Journalists froze mid-typing. "This is Clara Lane," Luna added. "Our biological mother. She abandoned us at birth." Clara stepped forward. Her mouth opened, and then the world stopped. Because instead of a rehearsed apology, she said something no one expected. "I did abandon them," she said. "But I wasn't the only one who wanted them gone." Lillian's head snapped sideways. Luna's brows furrowed. "What the hell are you talking about?" Lillian whispered. Clara's hands trembled around the mic. "You want the truth?" she said. "Then fine, you weren't abandoned out of fear, you were abandoned out of survival, because someone was trying to kill you." For a moment the room was silent. Press, camera crews, even the stage staff all frozen, as Clara's words hung in the air like a bomb with its fuse still smoking. Lillian blinked. "Kill us?" Luna's mouth opened slightly, her breath catching. Clara steadied herself against the podium, her knuckles white. "I wasn't the only one in that hospital room the night you were born. Someone else was there, a man who had paid for me to get rid of you." Gasps rippled across the room again. A few reporters stood instinctively, ready to capture whatever truth or lie was about to unravel. "I was young, broke, alone," Clara said, "but I wasn't entirely alone. There was a man named Robert Caro. He was your biological father." Luna's brows furrowed. "That name, but why does that sound—" "He owned a pharmaceutical company," Clara continued. "He had a wife, a real family, and he didn't want you to exist." Lillian felt her chest tighten. "You're lying." "No," Clara said. "He paid me to disappear, but when I went into labor early, I had no choice but to give birth in a public hospital. He found out, sent someone to finish it." The room buzzed like a hornet's nest now. Journalists whispering. Cameras clicking. Clara's voice cracked, but she pressed on. "I left because I thought if I stayed, you'd both die. The nurse, she saw the man in the hallway that night. Said he looked like he didn't belong. I didn't understand then. But I do now." Luna's face paled. "That name. Robert Caro. He's the guy who tried to acquire our company 2 years ago. The one who threatened legal action when we refused the deal," Lillian whispered. "Yes," Luna said slowly. "And remember when our servers got hacked 6 months ago? We thought it was a competitor. What if it was him?" Clara nodded. "He knows who you are. He's known for years. He kept tabs from a distance. But when you became public figures, billionaires, and threats to his empire, he panicked. Why didn't you tell us sooner?" Lillian snapped. "Because I thought I could protect you by staying out of sight," Clara said, her voice rising. "I didn't want him knowing I kept any record of you. I moved, changed my name, burned everything. I thought that was enough." Luna's jaw clenched. It wasn't. Clara's eyes shimmered with something, maybe guilt, maybe resolve. And now that you've gone public with me, he'll know everything. He'll come for you again. The lights flashed brighter now, as a dozen cameras swiveled in for close-ups. The internet would be ablaze with this story in minutes. Lillian stepped back from the mic, her mind racing. "Do you have proof?" "I have a safety deposit box in Arizona," Clara said, "with letters, photos, bank transfers, records. I kept them in case he ever tried to bury me too." Luna glanced at her sister. "If this is true—" "We expose him," Lillian said, her voice cold and focused. "We burn him to the ground," Clara's voice dropped. "But be careful. Robert Caro doesn't just ruin people, he erases them." That night, Lillian and Luna sat in their suite, the skyline glittering like shattered glass behind them. "I thought this would be about revenge," Luna said quietly. Lillian was silent for a long moment. "It still is. But now, not just against her. They had a name now. A monster hiding in corporate shadows. A man who had tried to erase them from the world before they ever had a chance to live in it. "We take a trip to Arizona," Lillian said, "and then we bring this man into the light," Luna finished. Far across the city, Clara sat alone in her hotel room, staring at an old yellowed envelope she hadn't opened in over 20 years. On the front was a name scribbled in black ink. R. Caro, final payment. She took a deep breath and finally tore it open. Inside was a receipt and a photograph of a man standing outside the hospital the night the twins were born. Watching, waiting. The desert wind blew hot across the Arizona highway as the black SUV tore. Down the road, heading toward a remote storage facility near Yuma. Lillian sat in the back seat, thumbing through a printed dossier Luna had compiled. Every page told a story in data, financial records, shell companies, shadow donations, all pointing to one man, Robert Caro, CEO of Theragenix Corp, net worth $3.4 billion. Publicly charming, privately ruthless, known for aggressive takeovers, suspected of multiple off-the-books deals. Untouchable in court. Untouchable until now. Luna looked over. "You ready for this?" Lillian nodded. "He tried to erase us. Let's give him something to remember." Clara sat up front, silent, hands twisting in her lap. The air felt heavy. It wasn't just about facing her past anymore. It was about facing the monster who used her, then left her to rot. The man who told her she was worthless, who dangled money like a leash, who promised to handle things if she didn't obey. She never asked what handle meant. She just ran. And now the past was clawing back. They reached the storage lot around noon. No one around. The sky was cloudless, bright enough to sting the eyes. Clara led them to Unit 219 and hesitated before unlocking it. "This is everything," she said, her voice small. "I haven't opened it since the day I left Detroit." The door rolled up with a rusty shriek. Inside, stacked boxes lined the wall, some dusty, some still sealed tight. The air smelled like old paper and fear. Clara walked over to a locked metal case in the back. She pulled a key from her necklace, opened the box, and handed the contents to Lillian and Luna, old photographs. Handwritten letters, wire transfer slips, all linking Robert Caro to Clara, and more damningly to a shadow account that had funded bribes, false IDs, and what looked like a payment to a private investigator from 23 years ago. Lillian's fingers tightened around the papers. "This is enough to start a war." Luna found a hospital visitor log tucked inside one of the envelopes. "Caro's name is here, signed in under an alias. He was at the hospital." "And here's the kicker," Lillian said, holding up a faded photograph. "That man outside the maternity wing, he's in this photo with Caro at a charity gala 2 months later. A hired hitman disguised as a security consultant." Luna's breath came quick. "We take this to the press. Screw the conference. We break the story our way." Clara looked between them, hesitant. "Once this goes public, he won't come after just me, he'll come after you." "We're not scared of him," Lillian said. "I am," Clara admitted. But Luna shook her head. "You should be scared of us." Back in New York, the twins went into full lockdown mode. Their PR team was put on silent hold. Legal teams were activated. Journalists were called anonymously. A 30-page exposé was drafted in under 48 hours, backed by hard evidence, and 3 anonymous testimonies from former Theragenics employees who had gone quiet. Until now, Lillian and Luna were no longer 2 forgotten foster girls. They were a corporation, a media storm, a weapon forged in fire. Robert Caro's face went pale the moment he saw the article headline flash across CNBC: CEO Robert Caro linked to alleged 2002 attempted infant elimination plot. Lane twins expose billionaire in shocking scandal. It didn't take long for the press to swarm. He denied everything, called it slander, accused the Lane sisters of using fabricated trauma for publicity. But the receipts were real. The photos were real. The story exploded. Theragenics stock plummeted by 27% in one day. And worse, his board demanded an emergency internal investigation. Caro's carefully built empire, his mask of integrity, was cracking. He picked up his phone, dialed a private number. "Handle it," he barked. "Make sure they disappear." But this time, someone was listening. The FBI opened an inquiry the next morning. Because the Lane twins had already submitted a flash drive, hidden until now, that included audio recordings of Clara and Robert's early conversations, the ones where he threatened her, promised to take care of the problem if she stayed quiet. And then came the final blow. A 4th woman came forward, another former lover, another secret child, another child, who went missing. The country was on fire with the scandal now. Talk shows dissected every detail. Hashtags trended for days. Caro cover-up, Lane twins justice, infant erasure gate. Conspiracy theorists speculated wildly, but this time the evidence was undeniable. It wasn't just rumor. It was receipts, testimonies, and the cold, calculated machinery of wealth used to bury the inconvenient lives of children. Lillian and Luna watched the chaos unfold from their Manhattan penthouse. They didn't smile, not once. Victory wasn't sweet, it was bitter, sharp, heavy. "It doesn't bring back anything we lost," Lillian said, standing by the window, "but at least the world knows now." Luna nodded slowly, her eyes darker than usual. "And it's not over yet, because the real war had just begun." 2 days after the exposé, Clara's phone buzzed with a restricted call. She nearly ignored it, but something made her answer. "Hello? You always were a coward." "Clara," the voice rasped on the other end, cold, familiar. "But I didn't expect you to be stupid." Her blood ran cold. "Robert, you could have stayed buried. You could have lived out your sad little life in peace." "And let my daughters die in silence?" she snapped, surprising even herself. There was a pause. "You made a mistake," he said, "and they will pay for it." The line went dead. Clara stood there shaking for nearly 5 minutes before she could breathe again. The Lane twins didn't take the threat lightly. By the next morning they had full-time security, surveillance on Clara, background checks on every employee in their offices. The FBI had opened a case, but Luna didn't trust anyone to move fast enough. "I want eyes on Caro every second," she told her head of security. "If he so much as blinks wrong, I want to know." The team nodded. Meanwhile, Caro was slipping. His lawyers couldn't clean fast enough. Shareholders were bailing. Old contacts were ghosting him. He was alone and angry. And then came the nail in the coffin. The 4th woman. Her name was Maria Delgado. She appeared on a live-streamed interview with trembling hands and a tear-streaked face. She told the world how she'd been 19, working as an assistant at Theragenics when Caro seduced her, got her pregnant, and then made her disappear. "My baby was born in secret," she said. "A girl. I was told she died 2 days later from complications, but I never saw a body, no birth certificate, no death record, nothing." The internet exploded again. Was this another child Caro tried to erase? Had there been more? What kind of empire did this man really build? Clara, now living under the Lane twins' protection, sat in the middle of their office one evening, while Luna paced and Lillian stared at the wall of press clippings. "I think he's desperate," Clara said softly. "He's backed into a corner." "That's what makes him dangerous," Lillian replied. "He won't stop," Luna added. "He tried to kill us before. He'll try again." They all knew the truth now. Caro wasn't just a corporate monster. He was a predator. the kind that cleaned up his messes with silence, threats, and money, and for the first time in his life, his mess had a voice. A week later, Caro made his move. A fake delivery man showed up at Clara's safe house. Security spotted the glint of a hidden weapon in his jacket. A standoff broke out in seconds. No one was harmed, but it was clear. Caro had escalated from corporate defense to physical offense. He wanted Clara dead, and maybe even Lillian and Luna. But he was sloppy now. The assassin was caught, interrogated, and he talked. He told the FBI everything: who hired him, how much he was paid, and what the orders were. Caro was arrested at dawn the next day. The footage went viral within minutes. The billionaire mogul, dragged out of his penthouse in handcuffs, face twisted in rage, charged with conspiracy to commit murder, attempted child elimination, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice. The courtroom would be his next stage, but this time, the world would be watching. The courtroom was silent as Robert Caro entered, flanked by U.S. Marshals. No tailored suit, no million-dollar smile. Just a bitter old man in a wrinkled prison jumpsuit, his face grey with rage, fear, and disbelief. For the first time, the great manipulator had no control, no power, no stage. Lillian and Luna sat in the front row, dressed in black, stone-faced. They didn't need to speak. Their presence said everything. Clara was behind them, her hand trembling slightly as she held her purse close. Her eyes never left Robert's face. Not with hatred, not even fear, just quiet resolution. The kind that comes when you've been hunted and decide to stop running. The judge took her seat. The prosecution opened with the bombshell. This man, the prosecutor said, gesturing to Caro, paid a young woman in 2002 to abandon her newborn twin daughters. He then sent someone to eliminate them, not because they were dangerous, but because their existence threatened his perfect life. Reporters scribbled furiously. Cameras clicked. One of the jurors gasped when the audio recordings were played. Caro's voice on tape, cold and calculated. Handle the problem, permanently. I don't want loose ends. It was undeniable. And when the hitman turned witness, took the stand and pointed straight at Caro, the courtroom turned into a graveyard of his legacy. Clara testified too. Voice shaking, eyes brimming, she admitted everything, her shame, her fear, her silence. I'm not asking for sympathy, she said. I'm asking for justice, not for me, for my daughters. When it was Luna's turn, she stood without notes, without tears. My name is Luna Lane, she said. I built my life without a mother, without a father, without a family name or support. I had my sister and nothing else, and still, we made it. Now the man who tried to erase us from the world will finally be erased from the one thing he worshipped: power. Applause erupted until the judge struck the gavel, but the message landed. Caro's defense team tried everything, questioning Clara's mental health, the twins' motives, even accusing the FBI of misconduct. But nothing stuck. The jury came back in less than 5 hours. Guilty. On all charges. Caro's sentence, life in federal prison. No parole. His assets seized, his company dismantled, his name dragged into history as a cautionary tale of greed, cruelty, and ego. Outside the courthouse, cameras swarmed the twins. How do you feel? One reporter shouted. Free, Lillian replied. Another asked. Do you forgive Clara Lane? Luna paused, then turned to look at her mother behind them. Clara stood back, eyes low. We don't forgive what she did, Luna said. But we respect what she helped us do. Clara looked up, her face lined with decades of shame and survival. For the first time, she managed a small nod. Months passed. The story died down. The headlines faded. But Lillian and Luna's empire grew stronger. They launched a foundation, the Lane Project, to support children abandoned by the system, to expose hidden abuses, and to hold power accountable. They didn't use Clara in the press again. They didn't need to, but they visited her once. Quiet meeting in a small park outside Phoenix, no press, no cameras, just the three of them. You don't have to love me, Clara said, tears on her cheeks. But thank you for not letting me run forever. Lillian stood still. We didn't do it for you. Luna nodded. We did it for the girls you left behind, the ones we became. They hugged her once, not long, but long enough. Then they walked away, together. the way they always had.